It is now the third annual, I think, preseason Penn State's football media survey. I call it football media survey this year because I feel like we tend to focus primarily our media consumption through Penn State football as opposed to any other sport. We did not ask all but one questions. I think was on last year's. I think we swapped out one for a new one, which we'll get to here. I want to say thank you to everybody that basically joined or submitted. Great number of responses once again. I'm floored when we do this of the people that leave, not just leave their thoughts, but leave thoughtful thoughts. And I appreciate that the most because this is something we just do for fun. That being said, as we go through these results, just for fun, not done in any scientific or Quinnipiac-esque fashion. We just did this for fun. So, where would you like to? What would you like to know?
Start at the beginnings. Just work your way through.
All right. Well, I forgot I gotta see what the questions were. All right. So we asked this year, per usual, which of the following publications do you read for Penn State sports coverage? We got a ton of different responses. 17 different places were listed this year, and I appreciate that. 17 were marked at least once. Okay. In fifth place, also in fifth place last year, our friends Penn Live, Johnny McGonigal. Congratulations to him, going to cover the Eagles and Penn State this year. I know that's a big deal for him professionally, and of course, everybody else that kind of goes along with that. Joe Hermit as well. They came in at 5 again this year. Not ranked last year, and in fourth place, the place that helped foster both of our media careers, the Daily Collegian.
Okay.
Very, very excited and happy to see the Collegian on here this year as a Collegian alum.
Yeah.
Third, Lions 247.
Okay.
They were not ranked last year as well, and they are ranked in the top.
Big
5.
shakeup in the polls this year.
Yes. That leaves 2 places left. One of which is also a student publication. The bitter rival of the Collegian, Onward State, coming in at second.
Okay.
Congratulations to them. They were third last year, so they did slide up. I appreciate that. And in first place, once again, the People's Champ, the gang at Blue White Illustrated. They will be happy to hear and find out about this when we post this later on.
So who fell out?
I did not keep track on that. I believe the one
was the Athletic.
There was one that did, and that is the Athletic. And that one fell pretty hard for obvious reasons, which is a question that we asked on the survey this week. So we'll get there in a second. Actually, let's go there now. We asked people if they pay for Penn State news, basically. So do they subscribe to places like On3, Lions 247? The Athletic was one of the places I think we listed. And then we also listed Roar Plus. I don't know that if anybody hit Roar Plus. But 61% of the people who responded say that they do pay. And that was about a little bit lower than where we were last year. But I think that's probably about, if we did this poll a bunch of different times, where we would end up. And I think that checks out, right? Like, I pay for On3 and Lions 247. Do you pay for anything?
I don't pay for anything, but 2 out of 3 people that are Penn State sports fans are paying for something.
Right.
That doesn't sound ridiculous to me, right? Whatever it is.
And I think
one source at least.
I think the other thing that could be left broad interpretedly there too is like people still subscribe to newspapers, and whether you are or aren't necessarily, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how that space kind of grows and goes over the next year or so. I think. Just because I think with the combination of On3 and Rivals, I am anxious about the quality of the conversations I'm having with other fans on the message boards. I'm also very fascinated, and we're going to go through and spend some time this week looking at it with Roar Plus and what that conversation happens. It looks like, and can I, back to our interview with Morgan, like, can that have an authentic, clean, clear space? Will be interesting to see. But along with that, we also asked this year, and let me get the phrasing of the question correct here. Hold on, where is it? As I struggle to find the actual document. Open up the spreadsheet because I only pulled the answers. Okay. The question we asked: did you recently unsubscribe from The Athletic? Given the news, there will be no dedicated Penn State coverage this season. And we asked there were three possible answers. There was yes, no, canceled it, or no, didn't have it. Of the people that said that they either had it or canceled it, 27% of those who basically had an athletic subscription said that they canceled it because Audrey, I don't know if leaving The Athletic is being forced to leave The Athletic, I guess would be the best way to say that.
She's just no longer.
Yeah, she's no longer at The Athletic, would be the best way to say that. And I think that is probably like that. When that number came out, I was like, oh, that's maybe actually about where I think of it, just from the number of comments I saw from people. Oh, I'm canceling. And I think, I wrote about this a while back, but it's something I struggled with The Athletic in particular. Like, what is the value of this? And am I getting enough value out of that? And I think as we kind of go into a more subscription-based economy, like that's what I'm asking myself consistently. And I can understand that if you were a Penn State fan and pretty much only primarily a Penn State fan, or if you're a Penn State fan and only to a degree an Eagles or Steelers fan, like I can understand why you would be annoyed and cancel your subscription, because you're going to get that value to a degree somewhere else. And I'm interested to see, what Audrey does, but that's the only thing that you're paying for the talents of Audrey. You are not necessarily paying for the talents of the Athletic broadly, particularly for those 27% who can't cancel.
Yeah. I mean, like I have not canceled yet, just because for me, I got Richard Deitch at The Athletic. I've got some other sports business stuff that keeps me there, but I don't know what's going to fill my Penn State void, right? Like, and she, in terms of her perspective, because going back to the Joe discussion, right? How do you differentiate yourself? She always did a good job of finding something different, because that was what she was tasked to do. She did a good job of it. I don't know who does that now, so it'll be interesting to see who that is this season.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. And I just don't understand the logistics of doing that with the team. And we'll get into this, but that has very legitimate national championship expectations on them, and also has the largest alumni base in the world, and all of these other things. Okay. That being said, let's get to the beat writer competition, if you will. We always ask who is our top 5 beat writers. Coming in at number 5, I think for the first time this name has appeared on this list. Mr. Tyler Donahue, over at Lions 247. I think they do a nice job. He kind of is the quarterback of that whole gang, if you will, and I think he does a nice job of quarterbacking them and guiding them. The trend of the Blue White Illustrated guys continues through spots 4 and 3. Ryan Snyder taking home number 4, down from 2, and Sean Fitz, who was number 1 last year, down to number 3. Sorry, Sean. I'm sorry that you fell from 1 to 3. I am unfortunately have to announce that number 2, I'm worried that will go to his ego when he hears this news that Mike Poorman is people's number 2 favorite beat writer. We're never.
You think it's going to go to his ego? I think he's waiting to hear who's number 1, so he knows who to be angry.
Oh, okay, that's true. And number 1, going back to our conversation, Audrey Snyder. People, I think, just know and trust Audrey, and I think that's extremely important. And I think that came through, and that comes through in some of the comments we collected later. Okay,
Foreman will spin that as he's the top rated person still covering the beat.
Yeah, he'll person born in the 1800s. This is how he'll spin that. Hopefully he's listening. Love you, Mike. You're our favorite. Okay. We asked people, do they listen to podcasts? This was up a little bit. I think we were around like 77% last year. 81% said they listen to podcasts.
Nice.
Which I thought was cool. And on that top 5 list, at number 5, a relative newcomer to the list, but speaking of Audrey Snyder, the Nittany Dispatch with her and John, which is a great podcast and one that I listen to. At number 4, a little known podcast called Stuff Summer Says with Steve. Again,
were they on the list before?
We were on the list. We were number 2 last year. We've fallen hard.
Wow. Maybe we should protest the results.
Yeah, that's what we're saying here. And then at number 3, Lions 247's podcast. They were 4 last year. And I think this one's very fascinating. He was number 5 last year and is at number 2 this year, behind the wall with Landon Tengwall. Kind of continuing his growth. I think we've seen him become a major voice for Penn State in a lot of different ways, like both talking about the football team, both particularly the X's and O's, and I find insightfulness from that, but also some of the NIL stuff and some of the alumni stuff that he does, I think is a good added value to the Penn State media sphere. And then number 1, also the Blue White Illustrated gang, second year, at least the second year in a row.
Nice.
Okay. Got 2 more questions for you. Favorite place to watch? Nothing too surprising. We did see a little bit of growth for NBC, who was number 1, from 42 last year to 44% this year. CBS went from 30% last year to 35% this year, which I think is mildly of note. The big one that goes back to our initial segment here in the second half of the podcast, and I think sums up how people have really started to feel about Fox. BTN is now number 3 ahead of Fox. So 12% of people said BTN and 10% said Fox.
Wow.
So so BTN went from 8% to 12%, and Fox went from 20% to 10% year over year.
Well, and I think the thing that's interesting with them, and we'll talk about it during the season because Penn State's going to be a top 2, top 5 team. It is the perception and the energy of brought to a Penn State broadcast by that team and about Penn State, right? Like, it's never been the world famous Penn State marching band. It's never been nicknames for Penn State players while they were doing it. So it'll be interesting if Penn State is somehow more favored nationally, but still seems lesser treated by Fox than, say, the team from Columbus. I mean, I hear it. I think it's just who the guy is. That's the lead thing. I don't think it's super intentional on Fox's part, but I know fans hear it. So
I think if you, all things considered, if you strip the announcers away, I still think NBC is 1, but I think Fox is 2, based on the quality of the broadcast, what they provide to the broadcast.
That's just because you got tired of that arching shot at USC a couple of years ago.
The drone shot.
The drone shot, yeah.
I don't think CBS has figured out how to do the Big Ten yet, the way they figured out how to do the SEC. But what I do think that they have is just a better rapport, and I think that's why they rank so highly here amongst these.
Yeah,
these
and then they'll have an announcer change next year. Like, this is a lame duck season for their crew. And then they change next year too, so that'll be more change.
And people were pretty nice about the grades this year. B was the highest answer at 43%, giving a B to the beat, and A at 41%. 9% said C, and like 2% said F. So usual F crowd.
They're grumpy.
Okay.
Good stuff. Interesting stuff.
Let me briefly get to the feedback. A lot of comments about Audrey. Somebody hire Audrey. That is the echoing of the beat is what we're hearing. Some people asking for a new Dave Jones. We needed this person says we needed a new Dave Jones truth teller, and those that cover the Big Ten more holistically. And I do kind of agree with the more holistically part. There aren't many. There's SEC writers, but there's not Big Ten writers. Maybe Scott Dockerman being probably the first name that comes to mind. Speaking of The Athletic.
Who's the guy at ESPN too?
Adam Rittenberg.
Yeah.
That would be another name. Some people saying they would like to see Penn State's media beat, and maybe we can talk to somebody about this coming up, be on Blue Sky a little bit more. I agree with that as somebody that's hanging out on that space. I love this. I love we have tougher questions from James Franklin, and then we also had for James Franklin, and then like ease up on James Franklin, and there's no happy medium. And I just think about like the irony of like one of the big media stories last year was people being pissed off at Audrey and John for asking tough questions, and
Right.
and then saying this season, etc. There is one person I do want to shout out. We ask for states every year of what states, so we can quantify that, which I have not quantified that. Forgot to pull that here, but this person said they answered with a bizarre state and then had to explain why in a comment in the one section. Said they live in Europe and listen to us, and I don't know who that person is, but I think it is very cool that we can bridge the continental oceanic divide of Penn Staters across the pond, if you will. And I just wanted to say,
If you're listening,
thank you.
hey, send an email and tell us where you're at. Give us the name, what's going on. Give us more specifics. That's great.
Yes, we can. If that is you, shoot us your address. We will try to figure out to get you some stuff this year, because it was cool to see that. That one made me excited. So yeah, maybe it's Greg.
It's like it's coming to the family reunion. Travel the furthest. There you go.
Yeah.
Let us know. They get that door prize to you.
Yes, sure. Okay.